Look at your hands. No claws, no fangs, no armor. If you took away your clothes, your tools, your phone, and every piece of technology around you, you would not look like the ruler of the planet. You would look like prey. That is why I used to imagine early humans as survivors hiding at the edge of the world, eating berries, grabbing small animals, and praying the real monsters did not notice them. But then you look at the ending of the story. Saber-toothed cats are gone, cave bears are gone, dire wolves are gone, and we are still here. So the real question is not why humans were weak. So the real question is, how did ancient humans hunt giant saber-toothed cats to extinction and turn them into dinner? Before we talk about how humans won, we need to be honest about what they were standing in front of. The Pleistocene was not a gentle, natural park with a few scary animals in the background. It was a world full of large predators, giant herbivores, unstable climates, and constant pressure from every direction. In North America, there were American lions, larger than any lion alive today. There were dire wolves moving in packs. There were giant short-faced bears. There was Smilodon, the saber-toothed cat, built for ambush and for killing animals much larger than itself. And early humans did not look impressive next to any of them. Small, slow, almost naked, no built-in weapons, no fangs, no claws, no thick hide, poor night vision compared with many predators, not even great at climbing compared with other primates. For a long time, humans really were on the menu. Fossil sites show that early humans and their relatives were sometimes killed or scavenged by large carnivores. So this was not a fantasy where humans were always the hero. At the beginning, we were often the vulnerable one. That is what makes the reversal so strange. If you only compare bodies, humans lose, every time. But nature was not only comparing bodies. It was also comparing cooling systems, hands, shoulders, memory, planning, language, and the ability to learn from one failed hunt and do it differently next time. That is where the story changes. Set aside strength for a moment. Forget speed, forget teeth, forget claws. Ask a stranger what makes humans special, and they might say intelligence. But intelligence alone does not chase an animal across open ground. One of the first superpowers was much stranger. We sweat. It sounds almost embarrassing, but in a hot landscape, sweating can turn a weak animal into a nightmare that never stops following you. A saber-toothed cat was a remarkable predator, but it was built for a specific kind of violence. Short burst, sudden ambush, massive force, end the fight quickly. That strategy is terrifying when it works, but it has a weakness. Explosive animals heat up fast. Big cats are not designed to chase for hours under the sun. After a hard sprint, they need to stop, breathe, cool down, and recover. Their body is optimized for intensity, not duration. Humans went in the opposite direction. We walk upright, which reduces direct sunlight compared with four-legged animals. We lost most of our body hair, which lets heat escape. And we have millions of eccrine sweat glands spread across our skin, turning the whole body into a cooling system. That combination means humans can keep moving in heat for a very long time. This is where persistence hunting comes in. The idea is simple. You find an animal, you track it, it runs. You do not panic. You do not need to sprint faster than it. You follow the tracks. When it stops to rest, you appear again. It runs again, you follow again. To us, this sounds like patience. To the animal, it must have felt like a horror story. Every predator it knows has a rule. Either it catches you fast or it gives up. But these upright creatures do not follow that rule. They keep coming. Not fast enough to look impressive. Not loud enough to seem dramatic. Just steady, quiet. There again on the horizon. The goal is not to beat the animal in a sprint. The goal is to make its own body betray it. Over distance, heat builds, muscles stiffen, coordination breaks down, the animal begins to stumble, and only then do the hunters close in. This is the first lesson. Humans did not always win by being stronger. Sometimes they won by refusing to stop. But endurance alone does not solve everything. A tired saber-toothed cat is still a saber-toothed cat. If you get close enough, it can still kill you in seconds. So humans needed another answer, and that answer broke one of the oldest rules in the animal world. To hurt something, you must touch it. Here is the part I think people underestimate. A stone is not impressive in your hand. A sharpened stick is not impressive on the ground. But put those things into the hand of a human who has trained since childhood, and suddenly the entire fight changes. Humans can throw, hard, accurately, from a distance. This is not just about arm strength. Our shoulders are built in a way that can store elastic energy during the wind-up and release it in a fast whipping motion. Compared with other primates, humans are strangely good at turning the whole body into a throwing machine. That matters because every large predator was playing the same old game. Claws need contact, teeth need contact, body weight needs contact. A lion, a bear, or a saber-toothed cat has to enter the danger zone to win. Humans change the danger zone. A predator could be struck before it reached you, hit with stones, cut with spears, later hit with darts or spear throwers. And even if the wound did not kill instantly, injury in the wild was not a small problem. A wounded predator is compromised. It cannot sprint as well. It cannot hunt as well. It risks infection. It weakens. For an animal that survives by explosive performance, even a non-fatal wound can become the beginning of the end. This is why early weapons were so powerful. They did not need to look like modern weapons. They only needed to change the cost of attacking humans. A saber-toothed cat might be stronger than one person. But what if 10 people can injure it before it reaches the first one? That is no longer a fair fight. That is a new rulebook. So now we have endurance. We have throwing. We have tools. But none of those is the deepest reason humans became so dangerous. The real shift happened when one weak human stopped being the unit of the fight. The unit became the group. Animals cooperate. Wolves hunt in packs. Lions coordinate. Dolphins work together. That is real. But human cooperation is different in a very specific way. A wolf pack is usually family. The bond is built on blood, scent, hierarchy, and shared life. Humans can cooperate with people who are not close relatives, people who did not grow up together, people who may not even like each other very much. They can still agree on a plan, divide roles, communicate, adjust, and act toward a goal that none of them could reach alone. That is not just teamwork. That is a system. Imagine a large hunt. Some people track, some carry fire, some make noise from the side, some block an escape route, some wait near a narrow pass. Nobody has to be the strongest animal in the landscape. They only have to do their part. To an animal, this would be deeply confusing. It is not facing one enemy, it is facing a moving pattern. The smoke pushes from one side, the shouting pushes from another, the stones come from distance. The path that looked open suddenly has people there. The cliff, the gully, the mud, the narrow valley, all of it becomes part of the human body. This is where human intelligence becomes shared memory. One generation learns that animals are easier to drive through narrow terrain. The next generation improves the method. Another generation adds fire more carefully. Another learns which season, which wind, which ground, which migration path works best. The animals are evolving slowly. Humans are updating every generation. Of course, this does not mean humans alone killed every giant animal everywhere. Climate change, habitat shifts, changing food webs, and disease may all have played a role in different regions. The extinction of megafauna was complex, but humans added something new to the system. A predator that could plan before the hunt, adapt during the hunt, and teach after the hunt. That was not just another animal entering the ecosystem. That was a different kind of pressure. This is why I do not like the way we sometimes use the word primitive. We say primitive humans and imagine simple people with simple minds. But these were people who faced some of the most dangerous animals Earth has ever produced, with stone, wood, fire, patience, and each other. That is not simple. That is terrifyingly effective. When I first thought about this, my reaction was not just surprise, it was almost embarrassment, because I realized I had been looking at our ancestors the wrong way. I imagined them as small figures hiding in caves, picking fruit, eating scraps, and trying not to be noticed. I thought the story of early humanity was mostly a story of weakness, but the real story is more uncomfortable and more inspiring. Humans were weak by many biological standards. That part is true, but they did not accept the fight on those terms. They could not outrun the threat, so they learned to outlast it. They could not overpower the threat, so they learned to hurt it from a distance. They could not win alone, so they built groups, plans, language, memory, and tools. Every weakness became a question. What can we do with this? How do we turn this around? What if the thing that makes us look weak is actually the beginning of a different strategy? That, to me, is the most human part of the story, and it is still relevant now. Today, most of us are not facing saber-toothed cats, but we do face things that feel bigger than us. Financial pressure, work pressure, the responsibility of raising children. The fear that the world is changing faster than we can keep up with. When you have people depending on you, especially children, pressure stops being abstract. It becomes daily. You want to earn more, build more, protect more, not just for yourself, but because you want the next generation to have a softer landing than you did. In that sense, the beast has changed, but the human pattern has not. We still survive by thinking ahead. We still survive by learning. We still survive by cooperating. We still survive by refusing to believe that the first version of the fight is the only version available. Your ancestors did not win because the world was kind to them. They won because when the world gave them claws and teeth on the other side, they answered with patience, distance, planning, and a group. That question is still available to you. What if there is another way to fight this? The animals that once seemed unbeatable are fossils now, behind glass, labeled, studied by the species that outlasted them. And the small, slow, clawless primate that had no obvious right to survive that world is here, building cities, raising children, launching machines into space, and asking what comes next. That is your lineage. Not perfection, not guaranteed victory, not magic. A long chain of people who faced impossible things and kept looking for another angle. So the next time life feels bigger than you, remember this: impossible is not where humans stop. Impossible is where humans start experimenting. If this made you think differently about what humans are capable of, hit like. It helps more people find the video. And if you want more stories about the hidden science and history behind human potential, subscribe. There is a lot more coming.